My grandparents had to fight this fight. My parents had to fight this fight. And I'm out here now.
Why it's important for them to know our stories is because if you don't know the whole story, you can't fix it.
And that's exactly why I'm here in Jackson Hole trying to bring about change to this country.
My name's Adi Barkan. I'm the campaign director for Fed Up, which is our national campaign for a strong economy. We came here this year to Jackson Hole to make sure that our voices are heard and that the voices of working families and communities of color all around the country get to be part of the conversation about what our economy should look like. Many people inside the Federal Reserve think that wages are rising too quickly, and so they are actually going to raise interest rates, which will make it harder to spend money and harder to grow the economy, and it will put downward pressure on wages, and that'll make all of our other fights for economic justice more difficult. So the fight for 15 and the fight for a fair work week will be less successful if we don't have a full employment economy.
I'm Josh Bivens, the Research and Policy Director of the Economic Policy Institute. As an economist, my big ask coming here is just for the Fed to be sort of ruthlessly tough-minded with how they look at the data. Because if they are honest with themselves and they read the data carefully, they will see clear as day this is not an economy that's fully recovered or even close to fully recovered from the damage done by the Great Recession.
So we're here to raise our voices and to make sure that perspectives and opinions and experiences of working families and communities of color all around the country get heard by the Federal Reserve.
I work at a daycare center in Atlanta. I make $8.50 an hour. Trying to survive off of $8.50 an hour is hard. It's even harder. My husband's unemployed. He goes to a labor pool. Hundreds of black men stand out waiting for a job. Maybe 30 will get a job that day, and that job's going to pay him $7.25 an hour.
My name's Rod Adams. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Minneapolis has one of the largest racial economic gaps in the country. I was in college, I just graduated in May. I worked 2 full-time jobs from 70 to 75 hours every single week. And for me to do all of that work as hard as I did and then get out of school and not be able to find a job, it amazes me. It amazes me how distant the Federal Reserve and their officials can be to regular people such as myself.
I think the fact that we have to make this ask and it feels so unusual for people to come in an organized fashion and make this ask leads us to the second longer term goal, which is to change the regular flow of information the Federal Reserve gets, having a more diverse array of viewpoints on the boards of regional Federal Reserve banks. They're supposed to have labor voices and community voices. Some do, not nearly enough do. We should change that, make sure they get input from a much wider range of stakeholders than they currently do.
My name is Kendra Brooks. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am an organizer with Action United. This is my second year out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, not only to tell my story, but also to get in touch with our local Fed to let them know that the economy is not working for Philadelphia, which is announced the poorest city in America. I worked for an organization for 15 years. I dedicated my life, and then I was laid off due to budget cuts. I lost my home, almost lost my car. My savings has dwindled down. I had to bring my daughter home from college. And I went from being an executive to a statistic in just a matter of 2 years. That's a rippling effect.
The Fed actually needs to listen to their stories. These are real people. I am a person, and I am struggling. Many of the people I know are struggling, and these are college-educated people who can't find jobs. I have a friend who's working at McDonald's making $11 an hour, and right now he's working on his master's degree. Like, what type of country is this?
The Federal Reserve in many ways sits at the center of all of these battles for economic and racial justice, and that we can't have a good economy that works for everybody unless we have monetary policy and a Federal Reserve that really represents the American people.